Why is everyone talking about mouth taping? And why are people doing it? What are the benefits? Are there any benefits? It looks weird, but does it help our health? Let's get into that in today's topic. It's Mondays with Mihaela. That's right, that's me. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love and appreciate your support. Let's get into today's topic about mouth taping. Why are we seeing all of these, even celebrities, all these health practitioners, taping their mouths for health? Why? What is the reason behind it? Well, when I first saw it, I was a bit out of it and was like, how is this going to benefit my health? And what is this going to do? And are there any benefits? So I decided to drill in deep and get into my research and look at, are there any benefits? Well, I don't know about you, but I'm a mouth breather. And what that means is when I go to sleep, I breathe with my mouth open, which I usually wake up with a really, really dry mouth and maybe even a runny nose. It hasn't really been that beneficial for me because there's a number of issues that come with it, which I'm going to go into the detail. But at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you, is mouth taping good for you? What are the benefits? And what are the disadvantages of mouth breathing? Let's get into it. So I want to start off with a quote or a proverb which talks about breath, and it's so beautifully written. It says, "For breath is life, and if you breathe well, you will live long on earth." How beautiful is that? That's just magical to me. So it's saying, if we know how to breathe properly, and if we breathe well, we are going to live long. And this is an aspect that a lot of us forget. We eat healthy, we exercise, we have good people around us, but our breath isn't healthy. It's not at an optimal level. So what can you do about it? It is actually estimated that 1 out of 3 people don't know how to breathe properly. That's scary because our breath happens every single second. And this is saying that 1/3 of our population does not know how to do it properly. That's a little bit of a concern. And they're not getting enough oxygen to the tissues, to the organs, to their cells, which is huge, huge detrimental and side effects to it. So I'm going to read out a little quote that will get us thinking. Let's get into it. In the book Behavioral and Psychological Approach for Breathing Disorders, Dr. Chandra Patel describes the problem with breathing as follows. Okay, so he says, we start life with a breath and the process continues automatically for the rest of our life. Because breath continues on its own without our awareness, it does not necessarily mean that it's always functioning at an optimal level. The opposite is true often. The problem with breathing is that it seems so easy and natural that we rarely give it a second thought. How powerful is that? That is just saying to us that our breathing becomes so automated that we forget. I bet you all of you now like taking deep breaths and are like being conscious of your breath. But that quote to me, or that what Dr. Chandra Patel said, is so insightful to what breath is. So how do you optimize your breath? And the thing is breathing is controlled unconsciously by our brainstem. And us humans, we can alter our breath. And what happens is with stimuli, either emotional or physical, we can decrease our breath or we can increase it. So there's a number of things that happen every day that either decreases or increases our breath. So these new findings suggest that breath can also impact our mental function. So if we can decide to alter our breath by reducing it and increasing it, that can actually impact our brain function. So for example, breathing rapidly, like breathing really fast and deep, suggests that we're scared or highly aroused, and this can potentially optimize information processing in our brain for us to act quickly and accordingly, like our fight-flight response, which is very interesting, but we don't want to stay in that for long term. So several studies have shown also that breathing through our nose can impact our memory. For all those people who have a bad memory and cognitive function in a different way that breathing through our mouth can. So why people taping their mouths? So that they breathe through their nose. So they have nasal breathing. So they have optimal nasal breathing, not mouth breathing. So why nasal breathing? Studies suggest that nasal breathing is highly more beneficial than mouth breathing. But let's get into the detail. You know what I'm like, I want to dig deep in. Let's get into the detail as to find out why, how, who, when, question everything. So but another fact that I want to say, if we mouth breathe during the day, we are more likely to mouth breathe during night. So that suggests for us to optimize our breath during the day, so then at night it's also optimized. Let's look into what happens with mouth breathing. What are the side effects of mouth breathing? So when we think about a mouth, right? A mouth is our first line of defense to our GTI tract. So what that means is our mouth, if a fly or bacteria comes through, our saliva will stop it because it can't get through the water, the saliva. So that's known as the first defense to our immune system, to our gastrointestinal system. So, and then we have to think about, why was the mouth even designed? Why was the nose designed? Well, the mouth was actually designed for us to eat, drink, and speak. The nose was designed for us to breathe and smell. So think about that. Our mouth was not designed to breathe. Our nose was designed to breathe. And also many studies, so talking about mouth breathing, many studies have demonstrated that chronic mouth breathing can result in a number of adverse health consequences. Let's get into what they are. So overbreathing, so when we mouth breathe, we overbreathe. And that's actually an issue because when an individual overbreathes, too much carbon dioxide is lost from the blood, and that results in reduced oxidation into our tissues, well, including our liver, which is an organ, but into our liver, into our cells. But when breathing volume is reduced towards normal breathing through our nose, carbon dioxide in the blood decreases, resulting in greater oxygen to our tissues. Mouth breathing can also cause unfiltered air into the lungs, bad breath, decay, open bites. Individuals have a lot of issues with their jaw, dysfunction of muscles in jaws and lips, crowded or crooked teeth. So when you think about those people that have crowded, crooked teeth, they also may be mouth breathers. Snoring. If you have a friend or a partner that snores, oh my gosh, get them onto this. Sleep apnea. Their tonsils can get enlarged because it's not getting, which I'm going to get into later, the bacteria isn't getting filtered, which is unfiltered air. But then we're going to talk about the benefits of nose breathing, now that I've spoken about what mouth breathing actually does to us and what damage it causes to our health. By breathing through our nose, we have a better chance to deal with various bacteria and viruses, which is what I mentioned about earlier. The reason why is because our nasal passage here filters our air, because it gets warm, moist, and it filters through it as we breathe, reducing our chance for enlarged tonsils, which I mentioned about mouth breathing, allergies, breathing issues, and other chronic respiratory issues. So nose breathing is key for individuals who have respiratory issues. Nasal breathing also ensures our carbon dioxide levels in our lungs is balanced to ensure that oxygen is released from the bloodstream to our tissues and organs to avoid overbreathing, which is what I said mouth breathing does to us. So if we don't breathe properly, it can result to our tissues and organs being oxygen deprived. That is huge. That is absolutely huge. Our cells being oxygen deprived causes so many health issues. And as simple as nose breathing can assist with that. But essentially, I'm going to list off a few things that assist with nasal breathing, which have been proven. So it prevents colds and flus. It regulates our airflow with the nose structure so we don't overbreathe. It facilitates correct action from our diaphragm. It promotes the parasympathetic nervous system, which is for rest and digest. It allows correct position. Look at me just standing up, making sure I'm in the right position. Make sure our postural is in the right position. But not only that, it also allows us to ensure that our tongue is in the right position, which is supposed to be above, on top of your mouth. On top of your mouth, that's where it's supposed to be. That's where it's supposed to be. And it reduces the likelihood of snoring and sleep apnea. Key for some individuals, I know that. So in regards to our cells and our tissues and our organs not getting enough oxygen, I wanted to dig a bit deeper in that. And in 1931, Otto Warburg won a Nobel Prize for determining that only oxygen-starved cells will mutate and become cancerous. Did you hear that? So only cells that are oxygen deprived will mutate and become cancerous. And how do we ensure that we don't get enough oxygen to ourselves? Let's breathe through our mouth. So nasal breathing can increase our nitrogen oxide in our sinuses. So even if you have a blocked nose, if you breathe through your nose, it's going to become unblocked. You'll see it, which means it can lower also our blood pressure. Further, it also assists with the microbiome of our nose. Yes, I said microbiome of our nose. Not only does our gut have the microbiome and bacteria, bugs and goodies and stuff like that, so does our nose. However, in 1998, 3 American scientists were awarded a Nobel Prize for discovering concerning nitrogen oxide, a signal molecule for the cardiovascular system. It's highly beneficial for our cardiovascular system, which I mentioned earlier. It lowers our blood pressure. So now that I've spoken to you about what mouth breathing does to us, what nasal breathing does to us, I think that we should take a deep breath together. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's get into it. So are you already more relaxed? Because I am. I was pumped giving that information to you, but just taking that deep nasal breath, I'm calm. My parasympathetic nervous system is on, which is beneficial for us. Okay, so I want to know, have you learned anything in this video? Are you going to give nasal breathing a shot? Comment below, let me know. Subscribe, like, love, share, do whatever it is that you want to do. I cannot wait till next Monday for another episode. Till then, love ya.